The transformation of Catholic-Jewish relations over the past half-century has been so successful that few today, neither Catholics nor Jews, know so much about Nostra Aetate.
It's very good in some sense that we take this for granted, that you're bringing people together. The other side of this is to know that this wasn't always the case.
Monsignor Guy Massie can only compare it to one thing:
Copernican revolution.
The landmark document promulgated by Pope Paul VI at the Second Vatican Council marks its 50th anniversary tomorrow. It opened doors for Catholics to that which is true and holy in other religions.
Number one, it condemned anti-Semitism. It challenged many of the stereotypical ideas that we may have had about Judaism. It dealt with the question of deicide, which for a very long time people believed that the Jews were collectively guilty for the death of Christ. And it clarified that and said that some, not all, then, nor now, nor ever, therefore we cannot even state this anymore, and that should be cleared up immediately.
The impact of the document lies in the fact that it reversed nearly 2 millennia of Christian enmity towards Jews that had led to much violence, peaking tragically with the Holocaust.
This document has a great deal to say about what happened 20 years earlier. 20 years earlier, the war had ended, and the war had seen the horror of the Shoah. It also raised in the consciousness, I think, of all people of goodwill, how did this happen in what was at least nominally Christian Europe? Something went terribly wrong.
Putting words into action, the Church sought to implement Nostra Aetate. Pope John Paul II became the first pope since Peter to visit a synagogue. He journeyed to Auschwitz and established relations with Israel. The Church also began to school their priests in Jewish studies. Monsignor Massie, a product of that education.
Personally, I must say that I owe all of my education to the Catholic Church. And isn't it interesting that they send a priest, the Catholic Church in the Diocese of Brooklyn sends a priest to Jewish Theological Seminary to get a degree in Judaic studies to foster dialogue. I will be eternally grateful to the Diocese of Brooklyn for my education. It has made the biggest difference in my life.
Nostra Aetate doesn't just speak to Jews, but all religions. Monsignor Massie hopes that in this 50th anniversary, the world will re-embrace the document, particularly towards Muslims.
Today, more than ever, that we speak with Islam and that Islam speaks to us. I think that rises up in the minds of many people when it comes to Islam these days is fundamental Islam, Islam that has been co-opted by national groups and then is fired up in a certain sense of violence and of persecution. I don't believe that is Islam. I think that is a branch of a group of people who have co-opted what the message of Islam is. But we would never know that unless we had a good conversation with those who speak for the religion.
Reporting for Currents, I'm Michelle Powers.